Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're tearing down a fascinating, almost invisible process that literally traps thousands of organizations every single year. We're going to dive deep into an anonymous expert report that breaks down the incredibly complex world of Form 1024A and the pursuit of 501c4 tax-exempt status. Now, we're not just skimming the surface here. We're stripping away the basic mechanics to look exclusively at the hidden realities. We'll be uncovering the core mechanisms and the real cause and effect relationships that actually dictate whether an organization secures its legal standing. Listen, if you've ever thought that just clicking a digital submit button was the finish line of a legal process, well, you're in for a massive paradigm shift. Right off the bat, let's address a super pervasive implicit assumption. You know how it is, you spend weeks, maybe even months, gathering all your data. You navigate this clunky online portal, pay your user fees, and finally, you get to that glorious confirmation screen. So you gotta ask yourself, does successfully submitting a digital application actually guarantee your tax-exempt status? The hard analytical truth here is absolutely not. No way. Getting that confirmation email creates this really dangerous psychological illusion. It tricks us into equating jumping through a bunch of rigid digital hoops with a definitive legal victory. But as you'll see, that assumption is fundamentally flawed from the ground up. To really get this, we have to completely separate technical acceptance from regulatory approval. Think of it this way. The digital portal you're interacting with is essentially just a blind structural gatekeeper. It's an administrative bouncer. It doesn't read your beautiful mission statement and weep, right? It's not evaluating your legal merits at all. It's literally just checking to see if mandatory fields are blank, if you follow character limits, and if your credit card cleared. That's it. Regulatory approval, on the flip side, is this deeply subjective, human-driven process where real investigators are sitting down to evaluate your legal exemptions, your operational sustainability, and looking for any potential conflicts of interest. Okay, so let's logically map out the actual hierarchy of this legal burden so we can see the exact sequence of events. Step 1 is technical compliance, which just means formatting your data so it fits into the portal's little boxes. Step 2 is structural acceptance, which is basically the system taking your money and handing you a receipt. And here's the kicker. Step 2 is strictly a prerequisite for the initiation of Step 3. It just unlocks the door. Because Step 3 is the substantive investigation. Pressing submit does not end your regulatory journey. It literally just places you at the starting line of an incredibly rigorous legal audit. Let's dive right into part 1, the digital submission illusion. When you start analyzing the specific architecture of this digital portal, you quickly realize its true function isn't to approve you, but to act as a rigid, unforgiving filter. According to the expert report, the portal employs some very intense structural gatekeeping mechanisms. First off, it uses mandatory completion locks. The system will actually freeze and completely block you from moving to the next page if a single required field is blank. Second, you've got strict character limits, often capped at just 5,000 characters for your critical narrative descriptions. Third, there are hard file size limits on the supplementary evidence you're allowed to upload. And finally, you can't even get past the front door without prerequisite identification numbers and organizing documents already in hand. So what does a successful submission actually prove? Just one thing. You followed the formatting rules. It says absolutely zero about your legal validity. Let's zero in on one non-obvious detail that carries some massive implications. Supplemental legal evidence is structurally capped by the portal at a maximum of 15 megabytes. Now, to put that into perspective, that's roughly 250 typed pages. So why does this matter? Well, if you're organizing documents, your bylaws, your conflict of interest policies, and all your structural narratives exceed this technical limit, the system just rejects it out of hand. This technical constraint forces organizations to be ruthlessly concise and highly strategic. You are basically forced to prove your entire legal standing within a rigid, tiny digital box. Moving right along to part 2, structural versus substantive review. We really need to look at the cause and effect relationship between the data you're forced to input and the subjective legal scrutiny that human regulators are going to apply to that exact same data later. It's a fascinating contrast. On one hand, you have the blind system requirement, and on the other, the substantive analysis performed by actual humans. When the system demands 3 years of financial data, it just wants numbers to fill the blank fields. But a human regulator, they use that exact data to evaluate your operational sustainability and to check for excessive compensation. When the system requires you to upload organizing documents, the regulator is scrutinizing every word of those documents to ensure your language strictly aligns with statutory legal exemptions. And when the portal casually asks you to detail related party transactions, the regulator is actively investigating your organization for hidden conflicts of interest. Fulfilling a basic, mindless structural requirement instantly triggers a deeply complex legal analysis. Now, let's explore part 3, the timeline trap regarding effective dates. There's this huge implicit assumption regarding how the date you file impacts your actual legal timelines out in the real world. So we really need to define an absolutely crucial term right now, the effective date of exemption. This is the exact date your legal tax exempt status officially begins. But here is the trap, and it catches so many people off guard. The date you press the submit button does not magically become your approval date. Your effective date is entirely governed by extremely strict statutory timelines. Specifically, it's contingent upon filing the application within 27 months of your organization's legal formation. The cause and effect of those timelines is absolute. There's no wiggle room here. If you successfully file your comprehensive digital application within 27 months of your legal formation and you pass that substantive review, your tax-exempt status can be retroactive right back to your exact date of formation. It's literally as if you were exempt the whole time. But what if you file after that 27-month window closes? The penalty is incredibly severe. Your exempt status only begins on the date of your digital submission. That means any operations, any revenues you had prior to that specific date are left entirely unprotected. Which brings us to part 4, the separate notification imperative. This right here is a major blind spot that traps countless organizations simply because of a fundamental misunderstanding of the statutory architecture. I want you to really let this sink in. Submitting the full, massive, multi-page digital application absolutely does not satisfy the statutory requirement to notify the regulatory authority of your existence within 60 days of formation. Now, it's completely natural to assume that by submitting a highly detailed 15-megabyte application, you've successfully notified the government that you exist, right? I mean, it makes sense. But legally speaking, you haven't. The expert report makes it crystal clear that a completely separate, mandatory operational notice must be filed electronically within 60 days of your inception. So let's sequence the true regulatory reality here. The overarching legal strategy is way more complex than just logging into a portal one time and calling it a day. The whole shebang actually looks like this. Step 1. You must file a completely separate 60-day operational notice to essentially wave your hand in the air and say, hey, we exist. Step 2, you must meticulously prepare and submit that comprehensive digital application within the 27-month window if you want to secure retroactive status. And finally, step 3, you must survive the substantive human regulatory review of your 15 megabytes of carefully curated evidence. This quote from the expert report perfectly distills everything we've been analyzing today. It really hits the nail on the head. Digital systems ensure the completeness of data so human regulators can eventually determine the legitimacy of status. I mean, that permanently dispels the illusion of the submit button, doesn't it? The portal is just an administrative bouncer checking your ID at the door. The human regulator is the judge actually determining your fate. Which leaves us with a final, really vital question to consider today. If your digital submission is merely the starting line, just a technical prerequisite to get your foot in the door, Is your organization truly prepared for the substantive legal investigation that inevitably follows? Have you analyzed your own data with the exact same rigorous, unforgiving lens that the regulators are going to use? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the systems around you, and for sure, always look past the submit button.